In this video, we delve into the significant changes initiated during the Trump administration that have led to a sweeping rollback of environmental protections. From dismantling key regulations that safeguard our national parks and public lands to weakening the Endangered Species Act, the consequences of these policy shifts are far-reaching. We will explore how the relaxation of water pollution standards, expanded offshore drilling, and the withdrawal from global climate agreements have paved the way for an environmental free-for-all that favors corporate interests over ecological health. Join us as we examine the implications of these actions on our planet and the future of conservation. 1. A sweeping dismantling of environmental regulations. During his presidency, Donald Trump executed a dramatic rollback of environmental protections, dismantling over 100 regulations aimed at safeguarding the planet. This unprecedented move weakened essential safeguards for air, water, and wildlife, raising concerns about the long-term health of our natural environment. The administration's actions were driven by a desire to reduce regulatory burdens on industries, but at what cost? This sweeping dismantling left many environmentalists and concerned citizens questioning the future of conservation efforts in the United States. As regulations fell, industries found themselves with newfound freedoms, but the implications for the environment were significant. 2. National parks and public lands open to exploitation. One of the most significant changes under Trump's administration was the scaling back of protections for national parks and public lands. These pristine areas, once safeguarded for future generations, became more accessible for drilling, logging, and mining activities. By opening these lands to exploitation, the administration prioritized economic gains over environmental preservation. The natural beauty and biodiversity of these areas were at risk, as industries moved in to take advantage of the relaxed regulations. This shift in policy marked a stark departure from previous conservation efforts that sought to protect America's natural heritage. 3. Weakening the Endangered Species Act. The Endangered Species Act, a cornerstone of wildlife protection in the United States, was significantly weakened under Trump's administration. Changes to the act made it easier for companies to develop land without considering the impacts on vulnerable wildlife populations. This rollback raised alarms among conservationists, who feared that endangered species would face increased threats from habitat destruction and human encroachment. The move reflected a broader trend of prioritizing economic interests over ecological concerns, with the potential for irreversible harm to biodiversity. 4. Relaxed water pollution regulations. Water pollution regulations were also loosened during Trump's tenure, allowing industries to discharge more pollutants into rivers and lakes. This change posed a direct threat to water quality and the health of aquatic ecosystems. Communities dependent on these water sources for drinking, recreation, and agriculture faced increased risks of contamination. The relaxation of water pollution controls was seen as a victory for industries seeking fewer restrictions, but it came at a significant cost to public health and environmental integrity. 5. Dismantling methane emission rules. Methane, a potent greenhouse gas, had its emission rules dismantled under Trump's administration. By removing these regulations, industries were permitted to release more methane into the atmosphere, exacerbating climate change. Methane's impact on global warming is considerably greater than carbon dioxide, and its increased release posed a major setback to climate mitigation efforts. This rollback highlighted the administration's focus on short-term economic gains at the expense of long-term environmental stability. 6. Logging restrictions lifted in national forests. The removal of logging restrictions in national forests led to increased deforestation and habitat destruction. These forests, vital for carbon sequestration and biodiversity, faced unprecedented threats from logging activities. The decision to lift these restrictions was met with criticism from environmental groups, who argued that preserving these forests was crucial for combating climate change. The administration's policies favored the timber industry, but the long-term consequences for the environment were deeply concerning. 7. Withdrawal from international climate agreements. Trump's decision to withdraw the United States from international climate agreements isolated the country in global conservation efforts. This move signaled a retreat from collaborative environmental action and left the U.S. lagging behind in addressing climate change. The withdrawal was seen as a blow to international unity on environmental issues, undermining efforts to tackle global challenges like rising temperatures and extreme weather events. The lack of participation in these agreements weakened the global response to environmental crises. 8. Offshore drilling expansion and increased oil spill risks. Regulations preventing offshore drilling expansion were scrapped, increasing the risk of oil spills in sensitive marine areas. The potential for environmental disasters loomed large as companies gained the freedom to explore and extract oil in previously protected waters. The decision to expand offshore drilling was criticized for prioritizing fossil fuel interests over marine conservation. The threat of oil spills posed significant dangers to marine life, coastal communities, and the tourism industry. 9. The Clean Power Plan undermined. The Clean Power Plan, designed to limit emissions from coal-fired power plants, was gutted under Trump's administration. By allowing these plants to operate with fewer restrictions, the plan's undermining contributed to increased air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. The rollback was celebrated by the coal industry but raised concerns about public health and climate change. The weakening of the Clean Power Plan underscored the administration's preference for supporting traditional energy industries over advancing clean energy solutions. 10. Favoring corporate polluters over environmental health. Trump's environmental rollbacks overwhelmingly favored corporate polluters, sacrificing long-term environmental health for short-term profits. The administration's policies prioritized deregulation and economic growth, often at the expense of ecological sustainability. Critics argued that these rollbacks disregarded the importance of preserving natural resources for future generations. The shift in focus from environmental protection to industrial interests marked a significant departure from previous conservation efforts, leaving many concerned about the legacy of these policies.